They had no phones, no schedules, no notifications, and yet somehow they thought more than we do. There is something deeply uncomfortable about that sentence. You read it and something stirs inside you, maybe resistance, maybe recognition. Because somewhere beneath all the noise of modern life, you already know it might be true. For most of human history, the mind had no choice but to be present. Ancient humans woke with the sun. They hunted, gathered, rested, and slept. No screens, no calendars, no future to obsess over. Just the raw, unfiltered experience of being alive. And inside that quietness, the brain did something extraordinary. It thought, deeply, continuously, about the world, about existence, about the invisible forces behind everything they could see. But what exactly did they think about? What filled a mind that had no emails to answer and no news to consume? That question sounds simple, but the answer will change how you see yourself. Start with the most obvious thing, survival. Yes, ancient humans thought about food, shelter, predators, and seasons. But here's what most people miss. Survival, when it is real and immediate, does not create anxiety. It creates focus. The mind under genuine threat is not scattered. It is razor-sharp, present, and alive. Stress in the ancient world was short-term. A threat appeared. The body responded. The threat passed. The nervous system reset. Modern humans have inverted this entirely. We face threats that never fully arrive and never fully leave. We worry about things that may happen next month, next year, or never. Our minds are caught in a loop of imagined futures. Ancient humans had no such loop. When danger passed, it passed. And in the silence that followed, something else filled the mind, wonder. The ancient mind was surrounded by phenomena it could not explain. Lightning, stars, the behavior of animals, the mystery of dreams, the fact that a seed could become a tree. They did not look at these things the way a distracted commuter looks at a passing billboard. They stared, they sat with it, they let the mystery breathe inside them. And that sitting with created something that we have nearly lost, deep, sustained contemplation. Researchers studying indigenous communities and pre-modern cultures have documented a striking pattern. When people live without constant stimulation, their default mode of thought is not boredom. It is curiosity. Not the quick curiosity of a search engine query, but a slow-living curiosity. A question held for days, weeks, sometimes a lifetime. What is the sun? Where did the dead go? Why does the river always return? These were not idle thoughts. They were the foundation of myth, ritual, and eventually science. Every ancient civilization, from the earliest cave dwellers to the great Bronze Age empires, built elaborate systems of meaning around these questions. Not because they had too much time, but because the mind, when left undistracted, naturally gravitates toward meaning. And this is where it begins to feel personal. Because the crisis of modern life is not that we are overworked or understimulated. It is that we have lost the ability to sit inside a question. We need the answer before the question has finished forming. We scroll before the discomfort of not knowing can even register. We have outsourced our wondering to algorithms that give us content before we have decided what we are curious about. Ancient humans could not do that, and so they became profoundly interior beings. They dreamed and then spent days interpreting their dreams. They noticed patterns in nature and built entire calendars around them. They told stories that encoded survival knowledge, social rules, and existential wisdom all at once. The mind was not escaping from reality. It was building a relationship with reality, slowly, intimately, over a lifetime. But there is something else, something that the archaeological and anthropological record keeps hinting at, and that modern neuroscience is only beginning to confirm. Ancient humans thought about each other constantly, not in the performative, status-driven way that dominates social media, but in the deep, empathic way of small communities where every single person mattered to your survival. When you live in a group of 30 people, you know every face, every tone of voice, every mood. You track the emotional weather of your tribe the way a sailor reads the sea, not because you are being nosy, because your life depends on it. This produced a kind of social intelligence that modern life is slowly eroding. We interact with hundreds of people digitally every day and genuinely know almost none of them. We have more contact with more humans than any ancestor could have imagined, and we feel more alone than almost any previous generation in recorded history. The ancient mind was built for depth, not volume. And somewhere in the architecture of your brain, that ancient programming is still running. There is a moment in the study of prehistoric art that stops researchers cold. 50,000 years ago, in a cave in Indonesia, a human being painted a wild pig on a rock wall. They mixed pigment by hand, they lit a fire to see by. And they spent time, real time, creating something that no one else may have ever seen, not for status, not for a reward. But because the act of representation, of taking something from the world and giving it form, satisfied something deep in the human mind. Creativity was not a hobby, it was a cognitive need. The ancient human brain thought in images, symbols, and stories because that was how it made sense of a world it could not fully control. Art was not decoration, it was philosophy. It was the mind's attempt to hold on to something permanent in a world that kept changing. And what changed when we stopped doing that? When we replaced slow creation with fast consumption. When we replaced staring at the night sky with staring at a screen that mimics stars. Something quiet went missing. Something the data cannot fully name, but that you can feel if you stay still long enough. Because the truth that this entire question points to is not really about ancient humans. It is about you. About the mind you are carrying through a world that was never designed for it. about the thoughts you never finish because something always interrupts, about the silence you avoid because it makes you feel the weight of your own existence. Ancient humans felt that weight too. The difference is they did not run from it. They could not. And in staying with it, they found something worth passing down across 50,000 years of human memory. The capacity to wonder, the ability to sit with a question, the courage to look at the unknown and not immediately demand an answer. They thought about the same things you think about when the noise finally stops, the same fears, the same longing for meaning, the same quiet terror of being a small, conscious creature in an enormous, indifferent universe. They just had more time to think them through. And somewhere inside you, that same mind is still waiting for the chance